whether how much any project which is coming up is environmental friendly. So, for example, in one of the contexts of female hygiene, the biodegradability of the project was discussed as a major issue because it is something which should be established in that direction.
So actually the project was really good, but the biodegradable aspect was not at all. So, you know, quite interesting.
Dr. Ranjana Kumari, literature?
Yes, I think this was a very interesting category that not only the writers, I write, therefore I am, was the category. Literature, women who are creating new forms, regional polemics and identity, reviving lost literature, and creating platforms for contemporary expressions. So this was not just women who were writing, but the ones who also are bringing women writers up. So we had the nominees, Jaya Jha. She has something called pothi.com, very, very original idea, where she has presented almost 2,000 women writers on that platform, and she's been helping women to come forward. Then we had Shri Moi Piyu Kundu. Now this is someone we really discussed, because this was something feminist erotica. I mean, Indian society doesn't really want to talk about women and sexuality. And here's someone who's writing about Sita, and she's writing about feminist erotica. I mean, this is something very unique.
What was even more interesting,
Extremely.
Yes.
Yes.
When Belinda was talking about how this book has been talked about amongst the grassroots people in the villages, and how it has made them actually more alive to their needs or desires, or to perpetuate and manifest their needs.
Yeah, so we had the other nominee, Anuradha Roy, and also Ruby Hembom. Now, Ruby is collecting all kinds of tribal stories and putting them all together. I mean, this is something which is also very unique, because this knowledge is getting lost. We are getting into all kinds of, different kinds of literature, and we don't know what our indigenous people's literature were. So this was a very, very important, and I'm very happy to announce all the 4 names under this category.
Ruby describes herself as a tribal publisher.
Yes.
Quite fascinating. So you can go to her, and even if you have a verbal story, she can get it written down in whatever language. It's very interesting.
And Pothi.com was also very interesting that they were also getting books published. E-books published, and also hard copies, and at very, very minimal cost.
Also to add, one of the authors basically is, I don't remember again which one, but had dealing with folklores and actually bringing them on because they would get lost. Ruby, I'm sorry.
Especially Santhal stories, because we don't even know how the Santhals because these are all oral tradition. It was never written. So now she's trying to bring them out.
But 2 more categories to go. So Saurabh Srivastav, business and entrepreneurship.
Well, like I said, I was really happy that this category was chosen. It's not an area that is associated with excellence, although the fact is that there are amazing women in both in business and entrepreneurship today. So we looked at all aspects. We didn't only look at financial aspects or leadership, but we also looked at women who were real disruptors, who were challenging existing doyens, and in many ways who were forcing us to relook at how business is done. Sort of scripting a sort of new social language for how you do for-profit business. So we were looking at a wide range, and we finally picked 4 women, ranging from Vani Kola, who's one of the most successful women today in venture capital and private equity, down to Patricia Narayan, who started in a very modest way, doing a restaurant, catering to offices, and have built a business coming from very adverse circumstances. Then you had Richa Singh and Pabi Rabari. And Pabi Rabari in particular, very difficult circumstances in a rural environment, tribal environment. So really, I think very, very outstanding examples. And I think somebody said earlier, and I'd make that point now, it's not about these people succeeding as women. I mean, they've done something that anybody, man or woman, would find very hard to do.
Right. Sonam, Any questions on this?
I mean, this is quite outstanding. I mean, business and entrepreneurship, sir, we've been actually awarding from the very beginning, and I have to tell you, they have some of the most capable women in this category, and they're very strong because like you said, it's known to be male dominated. And you know, sometimes women feel like they need to be a certain type of woman to kind of do well here. But we were very surprised that a lot of the women, like I can see Patricia Narayan and all, they are they're innovative with their being themselves as well, in their comfort zone as well, which I think is quite outstanding. So they are trying to create a woman's world as opposed to trying to enter a man's world and trying to get into that space. I think it's very cool.
There's also this whole challenge which we did discuss, is that in this area in particular, business and entrepreneurship, when men are ambitious and aggressive, that's seen as a huge positive attribute.
Yes, absolutely.
So venture capitalists love that. They
Yes.
love to fund people
Yes.
like that. When women do the same, there's a very different reaction. And so very often, it's much harder for women because they're supposed to achieve the same result.
My sister went through it. She was
Yeah.
21 when she produced her first film.
Yeah.
And my father, unfortunately, was not here. He was in America shooting he was shooting in Hollywood. And my sister had such trouble getting finance for the films because, they were like, she's 21, and we had an outstanding script and we had something that was completely different. But even though, everybody thinks that we come from a certain family and it's easier, in fact, it gets tougher because people don't want to invest money. First of all, she was a woman. She was 21, even though she was in Stern and she came back and, she's extremely capable and we had some amazing things. But she was really, really judged for being a woman. And I mean, if it was a 22-year or 23-year-old man, it would have been completely different.
It would have been much easier.
Yeah,
No,
it would
and
be
this
much
is, and there's a reason why it's very important to celebrate this category.
Yes.
And the reason is that you need a lot of precedents. So you must recognize. So for example, go back 20 years, if you were an Indian in Silicon Valley, you didn't get funded. There were no precedents. People said, Indian entrepreneur. Today, if you have an Indian in your team, you may be American. If you have an Indian in your team, it's much easier to get funded because there's so many success stories. We need to do that for women in entrepreneurship because the fact is you have lots of good women.
But she has proved
But
herself.
they suffer.
Mr. Shwal, just wanted to ask you that with this entire focus on Startup India and entrepreneurship and the Indian Angel Network, is it becoming easier? Is there deliberate focus now on encouraging women entrepreneurs? Because that could make a massive change very soon.
This whole Startup India thing that we've unleashed, this can be a real game changer. Because let me tell you a fact that's not well known. The only country where they've done analysis of this is in the US. And they found that from 1977 till today, except for 7 years in between, all net new job growth came from startups, not from large businesses. So when you look at India and say we have to do 10 million jobs a year, the only place is going to come is startups. So this focus is needed.
All right.
It's very welcome, and I think it'll be a game changer.
All right, great. So final category, and Sonam, I'll get you to, and this is of course a place where women have been making an impact and a very public impact for decades, right?
Yes.
We still know P.T. Usha and before that. So the nominees in sports.
Okay, so the nominees of sports are Deborah Herald, Pavlio Busamatri, I hope I got her name right, Basumatri, Deepa Malik, Oinam Bembem Devi, I hope I got your names right. So these are the 4 women who have been nominated. You were saying that women have been quite public. I just feel sports in India in general, whether it's women or men, I don't think there is enough recognition. I mean, we're a huge country with a ridiculous population, and I think sports, besides cricket, I don't see any sports being relevant
Although it's
right now.
starting to slowly change.
But I mean, really
in some
slowly.
areas.
I think Sonam, you're absolutely
Sanya,
right, because
Saina,
you
they
there
know-
is almost no attention paid to sport,
And-
sport as a field.
Yeah.
So there is not enough investment in it, whether in terms of time, attention, or money.
For more news and gossips, don't forget to subscribe to Bollywood Helpline.